No hands.
Deluxe Edition Drive Time Radio.
Eamonn Holmes live at Drive
on talkRADIO.
We're now going to talk to a man who's brought out a book called Children of the Revolution, a spiritual journey to Burma and Buddhism. But that's not what he set out to do. He's a chartered accountant by trade. His name's Feroze Dada. Good to have you in studio,
Thank you
Feroze.
for having me, Eamonn.
And Feroze, when we talk about this book, which has a foreword from the Dalai Lama, who says, His Holiness writes, the author, Feroze Dada, gives a moving account of a monk's work and talks about his own efforts to support a school and a care centre for destitute Burmese children, started by a monk in his monastery. I offer my prayers for their success. But you didn't go out there to write this book. You didn't go out there to find out what you found out. You were on holiday.
Actually, just to say that His Holiness prayers are beginning to be answered.
Well,
so that's
good to hear.
It's great to hear, to know that, and also to make him proud of the faith that he had in our project. The story really begins by a chance encounter in this beautiful part of Burma called Inle Lake. And I remember that it was a beautiful sunny day. The sun was shining, and we were going in this canoe in one of the most remote parts of the world. Then suddenly, there was a thunderstorm, lightning, and the boat began to, what I felt was going to sink. So I asked the boatman, please take us,
to shore.
Take us to shore. And after some persuasion, because there's not such sort of thing they do, took us to this remote part of the shore. And obviously in Burma, there's a monastery everywhere. And so the place of refuge, a place of choice, was the monastery. So as we entered the monastery, I saw this man, this monk, and he was standing there, and I can never forget this moment. He had something about him, you know. I couldn't work out what this magic was. Anyway, he made us sit down, and we started talking, and I was observing him. I could feel the energy. I could feel something was happening. And, of course, as he began to say that this was a place which had 400 orphaned and abandoned children, and there were effectively 3 monks who were looking after these children.
How were these children abandoned?
The history of Burma is very traumatic, very cruel at times, because the country had been shut off from the rest of the world for about 50 years. And that was not just to keep the tourists out, but because also to stop these insurgencies taking place within the country, because there was a military rule at that time. So the place that we landed up at Inle Lake was the community called Pa'o. And they were all the Buddhist community. They were part of the insurgency against the military. And this is the children from the conflict, you know, the abandoned orphan children because parents had been killed or gone through some disastrous episode. So that's really what happened.
Yeah. The spirituality of this monk that you met. Why was this man so special? How did he enlist you to his cause?
You know, something, as we came out of the monastery, I met the children, and I was shocked that in such a poor place, the children were smart, the children were happy. This is remarkable, this paradox between being poor and being happy. I realized for the first time it was really nothing to do with being poor. Happiness was a separate point. Anyway, as we were leaving,
no parents. I mean, we assume their parents are dead, or they're separated from their parents, or
I think it'd be unfair to say they were all orphaned, but they were either abandoned or orphaned or very poor.
Yeah.
So,
happy, paradoxically.
But this is the point. So even though this was a glimpse, I realized something extraordinary was happening in my life, what I was watching. Anyway, the monk said to me as I was leaving, said, "What did you think? You know, we don't get strangers here. What do you think?" And of course, sometimes your head and your tongue is not wired. Your heart and your tongue is wired. So you say something which is maybe profound, but perhaps not appropriate. Anyway, I said, "I wish these children had computers." Now, this is a stupid thing to say, at the level that they didn't have much to eat and drink.
Yeah.
But equally, it was profound because it made a difference in what I said and what he said to me. He said, Feroze, we don't have electricity, and the children have never seen a computer. So the profound reply, actually, I realized at that point that I walked into a door in my mind, and I walked through that door. And that was the beginning of how I got involved with the monastery.
And how did the monks keep these children who had quite traumatic starts to their life or experiencing trauma? How were they keeping these kids happy and smiling?
Very, very, very good point. It took me a long time to understand this, actually. What happened is that I got involved, set up a computer school, then I set up a water factory, and things were beginning to really work and help them sustain themselves. But what I still didn't understand fully, I saw what was happening. I saw the Buddhist monk who had a great teacher called Buddha, and he himself was a great teacher for the children. I saw that. I did not feel it. Now, I can tell you a slightly longer story if you wish, or I can cut to the chase, but...
Tell us the story.
Yeah, no, of course.
Sorry,
All right. So I said to the monk, monk, you're hiding something from me, mate. I didn't use that word. There's no equivalent word in Buddhism. But so I said, can I track you from the moment you get up to the time you sleep? Obviously, I'm missing something.
Yeah. What time did he get up at?
So here's the thing. He said, Feroze, if you want to track me, I start my meditation at 3:30 in the morning in the outside pagoda, and you can join me. Now, this was December. It is freezing. Actually, it was 0 degrees.
But you wish you'd never asked.
Well, I was so keen to understand what was going on. Anyway, I crawled out, having sleeping among the ants and the cockroaches and the lizards. I got out of bed and got there probably at 4 o'clock. And he had a mat next to him, and he was in meditation. And obviously he had faith because he had a mat next to him saying, I am going to turn up.
Yeah.
I sat with him and we meditated. I did know Sufi meditation. I knew this concept of zikr. It's a very powerful form of meditation. So I knew something. So I sat with him and I meditated, he did. And then he turned around, he held my hands and said, Feroze, let's meditate together for compassion and humanity. By which time all the children had arrived, which is an amazing moment. I looked around and there were...
4 in the morning?
They arrived at 5.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's about the time they get up. And they began, watching these 2 old men holding hands. Must be surprised. But anyhow... Then the monk turned around and then he started meditating with the children and chanting. At that point in time, I realized that something was happening. This was the magic of the monastery. The children were happy. The monk was wise. All this was happening because of this form of meditation.
Okay, so that's the state they're in. Was it happening to such a degree that you wanted to become a Buddhist?
You see, I think spirituality, if you like, is not a religious concept at all. I think if you confuse being spiritual with religion, I believe other people may have different points of view, but I think the spiritual path is a path beyond the religious path, where all beliefs converge.
And have you found that spiritual path?
Totally.
Well, that's great. In a way, there was a spiritual involvement, or you could read into the fact that this storm happened, the fact that you came to the bank of the lake, that no one ever visited, that you found out about these children and the monks and what went on. What have you been able to do for them? You say the Dalai Lama's prayers have begun to be answered. In what way?
So, of course, we started with the computer class, which is fine. But one day the monk said to me, Feroze, I'm teaching you all Buddhism. And I was writing away all his Buddhist words of wisdom. He said, why don't you help us make this monastery self-sustaining? So here he threw the gauntlet at me, a challenge. So I said, give me half a day. Didn't think I'd come up with an answer. So I walked around. I guess I was meditating. I was walking around the grounds. And I saw a stream of water coming down from the hill. And I knew I nailed it. I knew that we could take this water, put it through purification, put up a water factory and sell the water. And not only did we, and of course the water plant, against everybody's expectation, was up and running on 14th of August 2014.
Gosh.
And since that time, not only the children's health improved, because drinking good water is profoundly important, that changed their health, but also every bottle that is sold feeds one child one meal.
What's this water called?
It's called Koyen water. Koyen means novice monk.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it's for sale only in Burma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, it's almost in that 5-10 mile radius.
Yeah.
It's important actually that we don't make the monks and this enterprise
Overly commercial.
correct.
Yeah.
I think that's
Because what I'm thinking there as well is they had this beautiful state, however unfortunate the circumstances were, they were happy. These are your own words. They were happy. Yeah. Then the stranger arrives on the shore. He talks about bringing computers in. He talks about manufacturing and making money for them. Wasn't there a danger that you could have upset the whole ecosystem's not the term, but the balance of it,
the harmony
all?
of it.
Yeah.
You ask a really good question.
That's the first time that's ever been said
really
to
good
us.
question.
Actually, but there we go.
A really, really good question. And actually, I continued to think about this point all along. I thought about this, particularly in bringing internet or some sort of communication system. But Eamonn, I don't think that one can stop progress because of fear that somebody might abuse it or we go down the wrong road. I think that one has to help human beings, and if you help them with their health, yes, then and help them with education, then beyond that point they should be able to decide what is right and wrong.
Yeah, Feroze, let me ask you. There's a picture of just angelic boys, young boys, on the front of the book, Children of the Revolution, and they're dressed as young monks there, and they're wonderful. I'm guessing their age, maybe 10 years of age.
Yes,
maybe
there's 10, 11, 12.
Yeah. They'll be well into being teenagers now. Things change.
Yeah.
What's the future for those boys?
Well, the good news, of course, is that they're educated, they're healthy, they go out into the world, and they have careers. We have a nursing school there now, so they have things to do even after they finish school. We have a health clinic. We will be starting in conjunction with Charterhouse School. Actually, next week, 30th July, is the opening ceremony of the Teachers Training Centre, where a team of teachers from Charterhouse School will come to the monastery and teach the teachers how to teach.
You have really changed things here. I mean, that is a massive responsibility, but you are convinced this is change for the better.
I can never be convinced of anything other than to act in the best interest. The rest, I'm afraid, is people's destiny.
But what you're doing to these children is giving them their basic human right, which is to good water, good, clean for their health, but also a right to education, which is a human right.
But funny enough, I'm looking at this and I'm listening to the story. I'm seeing the pictures. I'm hearing about the monks, and I'm thinking, we probably in Feroze's case as well, what they give you. They must give you. What have you taken away from all of this?
Eamonn, you asked really good questions. You've been around.
I think you should be doing this for a living, Eamonn.
What is this? Do you know something that... Two things happened that I need to share with you. One is that I'm the lucky one. People say these children are lucky because you help them. I say, no, I'm the lucky one. The second thing is, if you're on a spiritual path, you do not do things. Rumi said something amazing. He said, on the path of love, yes, you have no control over your life. You're simply a brush in the hands of the master painter.
Yeah.
So, actually, having gone through a stage when I thought I was amazing, sorry, it's true, I have a realization that things happen which are not really my control. They happen in the same sequence. They happen in the same way you ask for something, it happens. Not only do you get what you want, but you get better than what you want.
But what's the one thing that you have changed in your life as a result of this experience?
The one thing that I've changed in my life is to discover the spiritual path. This is a path which is actually an experience that I cannot describe. If Eamonn would, or you, Sarah, would ask me the question, Feroze, what is this? Ask me the question.
What is it?
But if you ask me the question, I try and give you an example and say, look, if I said to you, I've tasted the best strawberries in the world today.
Yeah.
You would understand. You will see, you've tasted strawberries, so you will see that. If I said to you, I tasted a fruit that it's unique. I cannot describe it to you because it's not like a banana. It's not a strawberry. It's something completely different. So spiritual path is a path which you can only experience yourself. Only then will you know that you're on that path.
Well, let me leave you with some spiritual thoughts from the book.
Thank you.
Peace comes from within. Do not seek it without, says Buddha. Every morning we are born again. What we do today is what matters most. That's Children of the Revolution. It's got a foreword by the Dalai Lama, and is written, it is the experience of Feroze Dada, who went on holiday, and he's a chartered accountant from where, London? Where are you?
My practice in Mayfair.
In Mayfair. Yeah. And his life was changed forever. His journey is there in this book. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much indeed.
Across the UK,